Welcome to tonight's edition of the Clown Hour Podcast. I'm Scott Burks. Please check me out on my website at www.theclowntimes.net. You may or may not see this on my hat due to the glare, but just in case you don't, it's Clown spelled with a K. You can find me on Facebook as well. So whether you're on your laptop, desktop, smartphone, mainframe, old school computer, wherever you are, wherever you may be, just type in the Clown Times in the description. Actually, in the search window, I should say, you'll find me there as well. And also, please check me out on YouTube. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Even if you do not agree with anything what I have to say tonight, what my co-host has to say tonight, either way, we'll engage either way. We're petty, we're lighthearted, banter back and forth. But in any event, you'll be glad you did, and I'll be glad you did. And last but not least, please get my merch. KevinPress.com, search for Clown Time Sports. You get hats, sweatshirts, hoodies, t-shirts, mouse pads. I got a bunch of stuff for you. So anyway, those links are in the description on this video. So you'll find the gear there as well. So as always, talking HBCU sports, I got my right-hand guy here. So y'all know him from the yard, so HBCU sports, reps about all things HBCU sports, as well as Sleazy Radio every Tuesday night on Facebook Live and YouTube. And last but not least, he does great work on herosports.com, writes about all things FCS athletics as they pertain rather to HBCUs. Dwayne Ash is back in the house. How you doing, sir?
Scott, I'm doing wonderful. How about yourself, bro?
I am fair for a square, and can't say the same for Ed Reed. Yeah, I know.
God.
So we'll get to him right now. Might as well get to it. I mean, many of y'all know. Okay, first of all, this whole trend of NFL coaches, well, NFL players, Hall of Famers in particular, coaching at HBCUs have been, mixed bag, but mostly in the positive way, right? We all know what Coach Prime did at Jackson State, right? He was there for 2.5 years or 3 years.
2.5 years, 3 seasons, if you want to be technical about
3
it.
seasons. That's what he went 27-5 at Jackson State, and we all know the great things that he did there, helping elevate the profile of not only Jackson, but it's a swag, to be honest with you. And he went 27-5 there, and before that landed him a job at Colorado. We debated the departure, how he handled said departure, and but that's not here nor there at this point. But aside from Deion Sanders, you had Eddie George, who's still grinding at Tennessee State, turning that program around, doing positive things there. You have Coach Eddie Robinson Jr., who's at his alma mater at Alabama State University, doing pretty well, turning that around, playing hardball there, as well as a former coach, Hugh Jackson, is trying to do the damn thing at Grambling State. He's doing positive things there as well. And I think there's one that I want to say Prairie View, Bubba McDowell, right?
Bubba McDowell at Prairie View A&M.
Yeah,
yes.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
So he's also doing positive things there. So this is not necessarily anything new. It's just that Deion Sanders was the only one of a higher profile, the highest profile, if you will, to do it and do the job well. So that led to, as you can obviously imagine, that it's going to lead, if one program, especially a rival program in said conference, sees that other schools having successes going to a certain degree higher, looking for a certain pedigree in the head coach, they're going to do the same thing, right? As they say, imitation is the ultimate form of flattery.
Yeah.
So enter Bethune Cookman University, hiring one Hall of Famer, Ed Reed, who's arguably the best safety of all time, right? So he gets he gets the job and everything. So he said in the video, where shortly after he was hired, and I have a quote here, just a little excerpt I'm reading here on the Daytona Beach News and Journal. Quote, Prime was not wrong about what he was saying. I know a lot of HBCUs need help. I'm just here to help first. I see it too clearly. All of our HBCUs need help, and they need help because of the people who's running it. It's broken mentalities out here. End of quote. Of course, they have people thinking a certain kind of way. I'm pretty sure you felt a certain kind of way, being that we're both Aggies, A&T Aggies, proud Aggies, pride. But then I guess from the backlash, he responded. I think I don't know if it was Instagram Live or something like that. I think it was Instagram Live. While he was picking up trash around the facility, around the complex, while he and his players, he basically just, I'm not going to go into what he said. He just went off a whole bunch of expletives. I'm pretty sure you see it, Dwayne. I'm pretty sure most of us in the HBCU world also see it, right? And so, which led to, and also, this is the money quote, I should leave. I'm not even under contract doing this. And then, of course, he apologized later. He said, this is a quote, in regards to my social media and comments about the university, staff, and other institutions, I would like to sincerely apologize to all BCU staff, students, and alumni for my lack of professionalism. My language and tone were unacceptable as a father, coach, and leader. My passion for our culture, betterment in bringing our foundation up got the best of me, and I fell victim while engaging with antagonists on social media as well. I am fully aware of the hardworking folks at our school who are also fighting to make things better and more financially sound. I'm encouraged from my communication with my AD and our administration and understand it's a work in progress. My passion is about getting and doing better. That goes for you too. And quote, and by your judging by your expressions, by your gestures right now, you ain't buying this shit. So here's the thing. Someone got to him.
Yes, they did.
I don't know if it's Reggie Theus. I don't know the NBA great Reggie Theus, who's an athletic director. I don't know if it's administration. I don't know who did it, but someone got to him and made him release that statement. Now, this is because it's going to potentially affect a recruiter in the negative way, because the first thing players are going to be like, why the hell we want to come here? You know, if it's dirty. And I know he complained about his office not being set up and clean and everything else. So this reminded me of what Coach Prime did when he said that people robbed him in his office or whatever, took his stuff and whatever. So I was hoping to have other people on tonight to help us break this down, but I think me and you can handle this. So I'm gonna get the floor to you because I know you have a lot to say. I'm kind of like at a loss of words, but let me just hear your thoughts and I'll just vibe off.
Okay, I'm going to start from the beginning. I probably will end up reiterating several things that you've said, but I want to start from the absolute beginning and then get to where we are right now.
Right.
So remember when Deion was hired and the fanfare that went along with it, everyone was excited, and then shortly thereafter, Tennessee State brought in Eddie George.
Right.
And oh my God, and don't forget, Morgan State already had Tyron Wheatley there.
That's correct. Yes.
You know, and don't forget. Well, no, you know what? I'm not even gonna get to him just yet. But so there was an excitement going around the HBCU sports. Oh my God, these NFL greats are coming back. As a matter of fact, shortly after that, you have Reggie Theus come to Bethune Cookman, Mo Williams going to Alabama State.
Right.
What's your boy's name? Oh my God, that's that Lamoy Owen. Man, the head coach basketball. I can't remember what his name is when I see his face, oddly enough. My God. You got Juan Dixon up at Coppin State.
Right.
My God, what's the other point guard? Used to play at Georgia Tech. That's
not Kenny Anderson.
I want to say it's Kenny Anderson. Yes, it is Kenny Anderson.
Oh, okay.
He's down in God, I can't remember. He's in the I want to say he's in the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference. That's the NAIA level school.
Right.
I just can't remember what the institution is off the top of my head, but you had all of these great athletes coming to HBCUs and becoming head coaches.
Right.
and everyone was clamoring, "Ooh, I want one! I want one!" And then, of course, the names Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Marshall
Yep.
Faulk, all of those names were tossed out as potential hires at HBCUs. Took some time, but but McDowell became a hire. Actually, he was an assistant at Prairie View A&M before stepping up into the head coaching role. And then all of a sudden, we get Ed Reed.
Right.
But what a lot of people forgot, like I said before, we already had Tyron Wheatley at Morgan State. You had Rod Milstead that won Super Bowls with the 49ers at Patel State, his alma mater. You had Reggie Barlow at one point in time that was at Virginia State. You had Flea Harrell, who was the head coach at Howard, who ended up being at Jackson State and is now followed Coach Sanders up to Colorado. So there were pro guys that were already at HBCUs, but everybody wanted their own Dion.
Yeah. They wanted their own unicorn.
Everybody wanted their own unicorn.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, Bethune Cookman gets their unicorn. But I'm going to be real with you, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
I think we may have talked about it before on the show. Remember years ago, we were probably in our early to mid-teens. Ringling Brothers, Barnum, and Bailey Circus had their unicorn.
Mm.
Only to turn out that it was a horse with a horn taped to its forehead.
What they say, a sucker is born every minute?
Yes, right? And unfortunately, Coach Reed showed us this past weekend that his horn is a little wobbly.
Mm-hmm.
Because to his own words, he was responding on social media to a lot of the responses to him complaining about the things that were wrong at Bethune-Cookman.
Mm.
Things that stood out to me the most. The fact that, one, my man was working on the free. So he's basically working as a volunteer for Bethune-Cookman for 8 days.
Right.
Really? Interesting. Cool. But I digress, right? I guarantee you that's something Coach Prime didn't teach him to do. Speaking of, that was a question that I most definitely wanted to ask Coach Prime before he left. God, you could almost call me a little Nostradamus. Because I was wondering, because so many fans were clamoring for another pro athlete to come to a HBCU and be a head coach. One, if he had spoken to some of his friends about it, if he had spoken to some of his friends who were thinking about coaching at HBCUs, and if they were, what did he tell him about his experience? Unfortunately, I never got a chance to ask that question. But
that would have been one hell of a question for him to ponder.
And
response to that.
And I'm intrigued to find out what his response is. Mm-hmm. But I guess we kind of got a little bit of what he said based upon what Ed Reed said on Sunday.
Yep. That's a good point. Right.
And what befuddles me is that Ed Reed had a lot to say. Well, Coach Reed had a lot to say about the facilities, about the grounds. My thing is, bruh, you didn't take a tour of the college before you accepted the position?
Yeah.
You didn't see
Coach Prime actually at least toured it, right?
He most definitely went to Jackson, took a tour of the campus, saw what he had to work with, was disappointed with what he had to work with. But you know what he did? He had a solution and he ended up fixing it.
Right.
All I saw on Sunday were complaints about what hadn't been done at Bethune-Cookman before he got there. Now, what I'm not going to say is, and while doing so, basically said, to your point, that, well, not to your point, but to basically reiterating what he said, basically that HBCU leadership, basically athletic directors, were dealing with broken mentalities.
Yep.
Now, while clamoring for these head coaches and basically clamoring for these celebrities to come to our institutions, Coach Prime said it best when he was hired at Jackson State. He said that, you want this shine. You want this exposure. The thing is, though, you have to be leery, and I'm paraphrasing him. You have to be leery of what is going to be, what the light is going to shine on. So basically, you have to be leery of what's going to be exposed. That's exactly what Ed Reed did. He basically exposed all of the ills well, not even all of them, but some of the ills that's going on down at Bethune Cookman,
right.
as it pertains to their football field and their workout space and things of that nature. Let's be real, Ed. Number one, the reason why you were brought there was to, well, one, win games. Two, fix those ills.
Yep.
I needed you to be aware of those things before you even got hired. Well, before you decided to take the job. And it seems to me that you didn't know that.
Yeah. That's
and
part
you
of Matt,
decided,
if he didn't know.
Yeah, that's the part that boggles my mind too.
Yeah.
That, bro,
yeah.
you didn't know this before you got hired?
Yeah.
And you were basically working there to try to get things fixed and get things set up so that you can get ready for your off season. 2 or 3, social media is not necessarily your friend unless it's one-sided.
Yeah, it is.
I'm going to go ahead and let you know that right now, Coach.
And it's devoid of context too. So it's like, I mean, it's just some situations where it's like someone could, if they say like a tweet, they could misread the tweet any other way.
Yeah.
So it's very dangerous there too. But go ahead.
No, I take that back. Social media can be your friend. It can also be your worst enemy too.
Right.
But and that goes for number 4, the unprofessionalism of everything.
Yeah.
Goes back to the whole goat with the taped on horn. They're expecting this Hall of Famer, a guy unlike Prime who actually has experience on a coaching staff, coming into Bethune. And I mean, we already know he's not as polished as Sanders. And I'm not talking about his demeanor. I'm talking about the way that he handles media. Yeah, his phrasing, his responses, everything was just extremely unprofessional.
Right.
And then to attack all HBCUs in your rant,
yeah,
was very disrespectful and disheartening to a lot of HBCU alums. Matter of fact, Scott, I know that you wanted to touch on it a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and read this tweet from Coach Tamika Reed, the women's basketball coach over at Jackson State.
Yeah.
Coaching at an HBCU is not for the weak. You're going to fight battles internally and externally. And if your program experiences any type of success, it will be even harder. I choose to come back for the fight, to truly even the playing field and do something that never has been done. Kudos to you, Coach Reed. Now, this is one tweet that I got, and I'm glad that she tweeted this out. I'll reveal who it is after I read the tweet. Because of course it goes back to the comment of broken mentalities at HBCUs.
Right.
The tweet reads, not broken mentalities, but at times broken funding, broken external promises, and broken consistency of processes. As an HBCU alumna and former AD, there are good people working in these institutions. They need support and recognition just like the students. Tell you who sent out that tweet there, Scott. That will be one Dr. China L. Jude. Do you know who that is?
Please enlighten us.
Okay, Dr. Jude is the Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion with the Denver Broncos. Now, Dr. Jude, actually, like she said, she is an alumna of an HBCU. She played volleyball at Alabama State. Served as an AD at Cheney State. Served as an associate AD at where was this? I just saw it at Coppin State. I'm sorry, she got her she started at Coppin. went on to be an AD at Cheney, was a head coach at UDC, women's basketball. So she spent extensive amount of time at HBCUs. And I was hoping that more ADs and coaches would come out to speak on this. And I'm glad that some did. And I don't know if they actually reached Coach Reed directly, but someone reached him. That's why he ended up sending out his apology message. Now, am I saying that everything is right at HBCUs? No. I know that all.
I got a story about that in a second, but go ahead. I got a story about that. Yeah, personal story.
I know that all of the ills aren't necessarily led up to just the the bad finances and the money that's owed to a lot of state HBCUs by the state. Yes, there are some instances where bad decisions are made.
Yes.
But you know what, Coach Reed? We're hoping that with your expertise, we can turn things around instead of just complaining about it. So, right. The biggest thing that bothered me was the fact that you just basically complained, and with your complaints, you had no solutions.
Right.
Now that you've done your complaining,
mm-hmm.
I would love to see what your solutions are, Coach.
Right. Yes. Bingo. Because I was about to say the same thing. What's your end game? It's like the same thing. Sometimes I'd hear, I know that he's a controversial figure right now. Emmanuel Acho. People disagree with him writing a book and parlaying that book into a web series of like uncomfortable conversations with a black man.
Mm-hmm.
I heard people say that's too accommodating. I heard people say that he's too soft. It seems goes along the same thing that you say. Their complaints were their solutions. And oddly enough, none of those cats had any solutions to Emmanuel Acho. Now, granted, I don't agree with all what he says on this TV show on Fox, on FS1, I should say, called Speak, formerly Speak for Yourself. But I do admire what he's doing. And, the reason, again, even the things I don't agree with, I don't say anything because I don't really have a tangible solution.
Mm-hmm.
So I just shut the hell up and keep it moving, right? So I just think that, and I hope, I know this is a very harsh teacher moment for Ed Reed. And I hope that he gets everything in order so he can be successful. But man, as a 40-some-year-old man, that's something you just don't do. That's something that homeboys of ours in college would do.
Yeah.
Say.
Yeah.
As 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be saying those same things, hopefully, as a 40-something.
Hopefully, right?
A grown man.
But even if you are,
mm-hmm.
you're not the leaders of young men.
Right.
At an institution of higher learning.
Right.
And that's where that comes in.
Right.
Like I said before, I'm not going to completely berate Coach Reed on what he said, because they're issues and they're legitimate issues.
Right.
But that's not the way to handle that, bruh. It's not. A lot of people came out, like I know a lot of my HBCU alum friends complained about the fact that he came out and complained in public.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily a fan of that, but I will say this. My thing is, when you do that, again, you need to come with a solution so that you can get the help of the public to solve said issue.
Right.
Because when you do that, all you do is just berate HBCUs and have everyone just discredit everything that they've done.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you've grouped everyone together, now everyone supposedly only has a horrible track, or everyone has bad fields. Everyone's a hoarder at HBCUs, and that's not the case. So, there is some truth in what he said, but that's just not the way that you handle it.
Right. And yeah, and that's because we mentioned the names earlier. Mm-hmm. Eddie Robinson Jr., going back to his alma mater, right?
I forgot about Eddie Robinson Jr., another pro football player, played in the league for 12 years.
Yes. He ain't
Went back to
swag.
his alma mater. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mr. Swag himself.
Yeah.
But no one champions Eddie Robinson outside of Alabama State. Which is sad.
But I mentioned his name and like Eddie George,
Yes.
Hugh Jackson, but I mentioned their names because I'm sure they encountered some roadblocks. I'm sure they encountering present tense, some hurdles.
Yes.
But have they said anything?
No.
In public? No.
No.
Because they're grown-ups, number one, and two, they know how to handle it as grown-ups, as professionals. That's why you don't hear anything. So what they're doing the work. They're grinding. And I mean grinding. And God bless them for grinding. Now, as a result, I don't know how long ago Prairie View updated their facilities, which looks spectacular for those of you who hadn't seen it online. You need to take a look at it. But I'm sure Bubba McDowell's presence has some of that. Like, I know that Tennessee State's looking to do some things with Eddie George there. I'm sure Eddie George has something to do with that. Alabama State has pretty damn good facilities. I'm pretty sure Eddie Robinson Jr.'s presence as a former NFLer, solid player for the Tennessee Titans, and I believe the Jacksonville Jaguars, has something to do with that. Grambling State stepping up.
Yeah.
They revamped their locker room. Looks great. I don't know if you've seen their locker room lately, but it's a far cry from when they made Sports Illustrated, I guess, for the wrong
back
reasons.
In 2013. Yeah, for the wrong reasons.
They look great, dude. And I'm sure Hugh Jackson has something to do with that. It's all about solutions. If you have a solution, look, I'm sure they made complaints. I'm sure all those coaches I mentioned, and many more who never were in the NFL. I'm sure they made complaints. I'm sure
Vincent Brown, the new hire at A&T, is next on that list.
I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah, Vincent Brown played 9 years in the league. He played all his time under Bill Parcells.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah.
So Parcells coach, that's even better. So I'm sure they've experienced some complaints. I'm sure they made complaints. I'm sure they experienced some pushback. You wouldn't know it because I hadn't said anything. They're grinding. They're doing what they can to improve the situation. Now I'll say this: as much bemoaning as many people did about Coach Prime during his tenure, he did do some great things at Jackson State. There's no denying it. Their facilities, the locker room. Oh my God! So he did it. He did his part. He had the what's his name? Plank, the CEO of Under Armour, come down to speak to the student athlete, to his players. I think you said this too, that they were one of a handful, maybe one or two schools in Division I, period. That's FCS and FBS, one or two. The other one being Oregon, that had a different outfit combination week after week after week.
Yeah, they had the second most in terms of collegiate football teams, all levels, right behind Oregon. But to your point, I'll say this, and the fans know, Coach Prime has most definitely been vocal about a lot of things that he saw that was wrong at Jackson State within the city of Jackson and within the state of Mississippi.
Yeah.
The thing is, the majority of the time, he came through with a solution.
Right.
And of course, Ed Reed most definitely looked up to Coach Prime. They played together in Baltimore. I guarantee you they talked before Ed took the job over Bethune Cookman. I guarantee it. And probably before getting that video, he most definitely had a lot of vitriol, not only about what he saw, but a lot of vitriol based on the responses that Coach Prime got for leaving Jackson State.
Yeah.
And let it all out.
On that too. Who's also an HBCU alumnus from Savannah State.
Yeah.
He had a lot to say about that too, but go ahead.
Yeah, so he let all of that out. Then wrong time, wrong place.
Right.
And again, if he decides to stay, I'm hoping this is a learning process for him. That
I hope he does. And I hope he does stay, because that would be a bad look for him. I'm sure I mean, he's a former Wraith.
Mm-hmm.
He's a former Hurricane. I'm sure he's going to stick it out. I'm sure he's going to put his nose to the grind and do it because that's going to be bad luck if he doesn't do it just because he didn't like what he saw. Because to your point, he and Coach Prime more than likely talked about it.
Yeah.
So it's not like he didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
But continue.
Well, that is the one thing though. I do believe that Coach Prime never did get an opportunity to go to Bethune Cookman's campus and play there. Well, I'm sorry, coach there, because the one game that was supposed to be played at Daytona was played in Jacksonville, but that's another story for another time.
Right.
But still, Ed should have taken a tour of that campus and did not. And the way it seems to me, he didn't take a tour of that campus. If he was still complaining about it at that point. But again, hopefully it's a learning process. They get the things done that they need done there, and he's capable of turning that program around. Because once they got into the SWAC, 4 wins total was tough for them.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Before I continue though, and Shay, give you my experience working at HBCU, because I'm gonna add another wrinkle to the story. I'm gonna give a quick shout out to my sponsors at BetUs.com. So listen up, sports betting. Your favorite sports book, BetUs.com, is back for our 20th year of NFL action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus up to 200%, BetUS offers our members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite sports, including NFL, UFC, and MLB. So if you're looking for live in-game betting, incredible odds with daily odds, boosters, props, and parlays, we got them. You have about fast payouts and exceptional one-on-one customer service. We got that too. So log into BETUS.com or call 800-792-3887. That's 800-79-BET-US. Use the promo code TKT for the Klown times as well. BetUS.com, where the game begins. All right. I've teased it. The moment you finally waiting for, I'm going to give you my own experience. So for those of you who don't know, I don't think you know this too, but after grad school, after my last graduate degree in 2010, summer of 2010, actually it's July to be exact, I took a job at Shaw University. That is the oldest HBCU in the South. That's located in Raleigh, North Carolina. It's located right in the middle of downtown. So I worked there for 18 months. I was a webmaster. And so during that time, Shaw University was up for accreditation. And even before I get to the accreditation part, I had to clean up one of my main responsibilities, not only to clean up the website, but to get it set up so that I could get a constant flow of communication from various departments to where we were. And by we, I meant the institution of advancement. So that was where my position sat. It didn't sit in IT. It sat in the institution of Office of Institution of Advancement. So that's with the alumni directors. That's with all those folks engaging in alumni and donations. So, anywho, so basically they were the advertising arm, if you will, of the university. So, seeing all what I went through there, I mean, seeing how, I don't want to call it broken, but needed to be managed or repaired. Seeing the information was so old, sometimes it was years old, plural, and having to go out and gain the trust of department heads and professors so that they could trust me with the information so I can keep it updated, because apparently they had trouble keeping the students, updated and alumni updated. And it led to, I don't want to say no one was donated, because that's not necessarily, that wasn't the case, but donations could have been improved, things like that. And so I eventually, it took a lot of work on my part and a few other people's parts within those various departments I actually became allies with, to get everything updated. And then it got me having the sweet talk IT to help them get everything structured out too. Okay. So I had to do engaging lots of acts of diplomacy, let's put it that way, to gain the trust of all the players involved, stakeholders involved. All right. So a few months later came the accreditation. Now, I'm not going to air out the dirty laundry, just say this. it was accreditation was up. There was some things going on there. Then eventually, fast forward, it was a happy end. Everything got fixed up. But the point is being HBCU, seeing that some people sometimes wear various hats.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that. A lot of us, I see, especially at smaller HBCUs,
Mm-hmm.
where it's, and especially small HBCUs that are private, which means they don't get any, even though states have been ripping off land grant HBCUs for years, they don't even get that. They're reliant on donations.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you've seen the struggle, right? I mean, St. Augustine's College is right down the street from it. I mean, up the road, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have as many struggles per se, but they still encountered their obstacles as well as a like-minded, smaller, private HBCU. That's religion based. So, the point is I get what folks from the outside who come to work at these institutions feel. Because let's be real, Ed Reed came from Miami. Deion Sanders came from Florida State. Bigger institutions, bigger PW, but they're PWIs with a larger donor base. In the case of Florida State, in addition to the donor base, they get the state money. Probably them in Florida, the University of Florida, get the most money, state money. So, and with of course Central UCF, Central Florida, South Florida getting probably FIU, FAU, they're also PWIs that are public, but they probably get shitted on in terms of the money, state money.
Oh, in comparison, yeah, most definitely.
But the point is, but that's not here there. But the point is, I get what they're saying. But to me, but when I was working there, for example, I didn't go around belly aching just to be belly aching. I worked to gain solutions. I mapped up the problems and I set aside solutions. I came up with some solutions, how to gain the trust of the stakeholders involved with the website, how to do my part in helping the college become accredited, like keep their accreditation.
Yeah.
Where can I help out? I was tasked with creating a website as a repository for all the accreditation documents to be reviewed by the accreditation body. And how, volunteer like ideas of how that could be managed. It's all about ideas, people. So folks out there who are then when you have to be limited to HBCU, it could be a smaller PWIs. There are many of them out there, those on the FCS level, those on the Division 2 and 3 levels. They're experiencing their own challenges because of the lack of size, and which leads to the lack of funding compared to the bigger bros, if you will. I mean, let's go to North Carolina, where I grew up, where we both went to school in the state. I mean, aside from UNC and NC State, you got Appalachian State, you got Western Carolina, you got formerly Pembroke State, now University of North Carolina at Pembroke. You got the former North Carolina School of the Arts, which is now the University of North Carolina School of the Arts. You have East Carolina.
East Carolina, yeah.
You have smaller UNC Charlotte, UNC Greensboro, UNC Wilmington, UNC Asheville.
Yeah.
Okay. They have challenges. But the thing is,
but I have to be real, Scott. Their challenges and the amount of money that they receive is still more than the majority of the other HBCU, well, the other state schools that are HBCUs, with the exception of course, the flagship of the state. I mean, I shouldn't be bragging like this at this moment, but yeah, of course, North Carolina A&T is a lot higher than a lot of those other institutions, because of course the amount of students that they currently have enrolled there. But yeah, when you start looking at the other institutions within the state that are HBCUs and the amount of money that they receive versus the amount of money that they receive, yes, most definitely.
We still get shitted on. We still get shit. I'm not comparing apples to apples.
Oh yeah.
I'm not trying. My point is, like, those people who were at those institutions, the Western Carolinas, the Appalachian States,
had to wear many hats. Complaints. Oh yeah.
And wear many hats. There's some schools, like there's a school in Virginia, I'm not going to call out its name. It's a well-known institution, but it's like FCS level. That they had, like, a friend of mine's son went there, and he didn't get the support he needed for his learning disability because they didn't have the proper infrastructure for it.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to call it the school's name. It's a good school, but it's not the big school. If that
Just gotta say William and Mary.
No, it's not William and Mary, but I'll keep it at that. But the point is that they've had people who work at those institutions have experienced similar things, but they choose to get solutions. Appalachian State has done a good job of getting solutions. Again, not comparing apples to apples with A&T. Totally different animal. I get that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, hell, Appalachian State is FBS school now. I've been for several years. But the point is that don't complain and bitch about it. Do something.
Yeah.
Do something. My dad used to always say, don't just talk about change, be the change.
Yeah.
Do something. Do something. So to Ed Reed and people looking and other professional football players or basketball players or baseball players looking to come to these schools, whether they're alma maters or whatever, and coach, we all know that you all should know the challenges that you all face heading into these schools.
Yeah.
If you don't, shame on you, because you're responsible for learning about your potential place of employment. So you go in there with eyes wide open instead of eyes wide shut.
Yeah.
And I'm suspecting that Ed Reed did not went in there eyes wide shut. I'm assuming that he went in there not knowing what was going, truly what was going on, okay, at his own school. Instead of doing all that, just again, because you're there as an ambassador for the school. If you want the school, if you want your whatever team that you're doing to be successful, future professional athletes who choose to coach at HBCUs, you can't say shit like that and expect to get a positive response from potential recruits. Because the first thing they're going to say is, well, hell, if Ed Reed says this, why the hell should I come here?
Yeah, right.
You know, if Mo Williams is saying these things, why should I come here?
Mm-hmm.
You know, if Juan Dixon is saying that same thing at Coppin, why should I go to Coppin State and play for him? It's all you're there for a reason. In addition to winning games, but in doing so, lift the school's program's profile. That's why you're there. And I'm sure they realize that's why they're there. So again, to all those folks out there, take a page out of Eddie Robinson Jr.'s book, Hugh Jackson's book, Eddie George's book, Robert McDowell's book, Juan Dixon's book, and shout out to Tamika Reed, her book. Do something. Do something. Be the change. Be the positive change. Because otherwise, I mean, again, I'm hoping Ed Reed does well. I really am. I really am. I know Bethune Cookman has some tradition in football. I want them to get back there. They are sitting at a fertile recruiting ground. There's a sleeping ass giant waiting to be awake.
Most definitely.
Ed Reed, I think, is the guy to awaken it. He just needs to be smarter about it.
Most definitely. Most definitely. And you know, he has the likes of, I mean, if he wants to reach out to Coach Wyatt, if he wants to reach out to wait a minute, before I even say his name, I don't make sure he's still with us, because I don't want to go ahead and say reach out to a dude that is no longer with us. But while I'm still when I'm looking this up, Kenny Anderson actually used to be the head well, not used to be, but Kenny Anderson is the head coach at Fisk University. I was right. It is in the GCAC, the Gulf Coast Athletics Conference, but yeah, he's down there coaching. So yeah, another person we can reach out to, another Hall of Famer, a big dog, Larry Little, Bethune Cookman alum, coached at Bethune Cookman. Hey, how do I handle myself while I'm here? What do I need to do?
And if he's smart, he could link up. He should link up with him, bring him back to campus, and bring the old money, if you will, alumni to it, and then just drum up some interest among the young cats who didn't know about Larry Little.
Exactly. And you know, oddly enough, Coach Prime did the same thing because you know what? He was fed the history of Jackson State before being hired there. Now he didn't know a lot about history of other HBCUs, but that's another conversation for another time. But he most definitely was aware of the history of Jackson State. Ed Reed would be great if you knew that and would talk to Coach Larry Little, and also talk to other HBCU ads and coaches as well. Man, get some education, be it current or former, so you'll figure out, man, what you need to do or what your experience, the things that you're going to potentially encounter while you're there, Bethune Cookman. Because
Where
we
can
can't
it?
have these outlashes anymore, bro.
Sorry, yeah, because again, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to belabor the point any longer. Again, I'm hoping that he does well. I'm pretty sure things gonna get off the rocky start on the field. I hope that he used the principles he learned being a Hurricane, being a Raven, and he has coaching experience. So
Yeah.
he won't be going there like shook per se. I'm hoping he draws upon those the work ethic he's picked up in his career that made him the greatest safety who ever lived to build that program. I really do. But man, the start he's gotten off to, wow. Just wow. Where can the people find you online, bro?
Man, you can find me at the Yard HBCU. That's all platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Find me right now. You know, I'm getting immersed into, excuse me, collegiate basketball. This past weekend, I was down at Petersburg, Virginia, to check out the in-state rivalry of Virginia State and Virginia Union for the Freedom Classic. Wonderful basketball games caught the tail end of the women's game where Virginia State won the Freedom Classic on the women's side. Virginia Union won it on the men's side, giving VSU their first loss in conference. This week, I'm sticking to the CIAA action, going to check out Bowie State this weekend. Go check out my boys around the corner. And I believe that they are playing Virginia Union as well. So we're getting a little double dip of Virginia Union in back-to-back weeks. So hopefully next week when we talk, I have some info for you for the CIAA and also the other conferences. There's been some wonderful play going on within the conferences. Excuse me, and we'd love to catch up with you on that sometime next week.
Yes, sir. That's the plan. I'm making a plan. Hopefully nothing else or shouting.
Hopefully no
world
other Bama comes out and says something crazy.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. So please, y'all, check out, and also, well, before I say all that, please check out this brother's great work at theyardhbcu.com. See in the backdrop there. Herosports.com. Check them out there. Sleaze Sports every Tuesday on Facebook Live and YouTube. Please check them out there. You can also check me out on Twitter at clowntimes_1906. Clown Spirit VK once again, so check me out there. And please continue to go to the website. I added a post to www.theclowntimes.net. Yes, I've been slacking, but I'm gonna add a couple more this week. That's my plan anyway. Clown Spirit VK. Check me out on Facebook. And also, last but not least, please do like, comment, share, and subscribe. You'll be glad you did, and I'll be glad you did. And I lied to you. I said last thing. One more for real last thing. Check out the merch at cafepress.com. Since the Clown Sign Sports get merch like this hat, t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, mouse pads, you name it. Got it right there. So till next week, please stay cool. I should say please stay warm, but cool as in demeanor. Take care. 06. Peace out.